Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the preview. Brentford versus Everton. Another tough game. Another hard game. But what I would say is Brentford have had a mixed bag so far, haven't they? A draw, a fantastic win against Manchester United, but a defeat at the weekend to Fulham. Conceded 5 goals so far as well. Although they've scored like 8 they've scored as well. So when we were obviously, they did the double over us last season, a promoted team doing the double over us, and it's a tough game, isn't it? It's a tough game. Who'd have thought it?
Well, it is a tough game because they're a hard working side, but they've got quality as well, and they proved their last season, like you said, they'd done the double over us. I'm not convinced they'd have won the Goodison game if it was 11v11, but they did. And they beat us down their place. So I watched them against United. They were brilliant.
Yeah,
they were absolutely brilliant against United. They blew them away. Come back from 2 down at Leicester on the opening day to get a draw, and then last week the defender was a little bit sketchy against Fulham. But in Ivan Toney and Buemo, players like that, they've got players who can hurt you. And so they've got a nice mix of hard working players and talented players, and a good manager, so it'll be a tough game.
Yeah, and obviously against Manchester United, we've seen the way you started, pressing from the front, trying to stop Manchester United playing it out from the back. You know, you can imagine they'll do something like that, the high press. We've got to be very, very careful, but I think we said this a lot. I think there's a lot of admiration, again, for the way Brentford do things, and again, it's so frustrating when you see a club like that being able to do things the right way, having the right kind of transfer policy, bringing good players in. You know, Everton would kill for their front three. You know, they've got real. You know, whether people look at the ability side, they've got good depth, even in their front three. And in Ivan Toney, they've got a forward that Everton would absolutely kill for. You know, and when you see that talent and what they did to us last season, and obviously the goals they've scored this season, it's when you know there's a genuine threat coming up against you, it does make it difficult to, when you look at what we've got at this moment playing up front for us, it does make it really difficult, doesn't it, to think how can we get 3 points against this side?
Yeah, because we don't have any threat in the final third, bar Damari Gray, really. You know, no one's sure right now whether Anthony Gordon will still be an Everton player by the weekend. So that means right now, because we haven't brought anyone in, it'd be probably Dwight McNeil in there. He doesn't really score goals. Salomon Rondon, who, I think most Evertonians know we need better than that as our number 9. So that's the worry. The worry is that there just isn't any goals on this side. And keeping these out when they are dangerous is one thing, but then having enough to go and get something at the other end. When you've got players in the final third who can score goals, you're always confident in every game. Right now, we don't have that. We had Dominic Calvert-Lewin playing, and it's a different thing. You start feeling confident then, but then it's up to other people to step up. They're all professional footballers, and they should be able to weigh in with goals.
Yeah.
Likes of Alex Iwobi and people like that should be able to get on the end of things and score goals. But Everton we have got to be very careful, because I did watch them against United, like I said before, and they just pressed Eriksen and took the ball off him, and it was goal after goal, and we can't fall into that trap.
No, and the worry is that the Villa game, obviously we set up in a way to stop them scoring, but the minute they scored, we had to sort of change things around. We were trying to play on the counter-attack. It'll be interesting to see how we set up, because we're not going to play a high line, clearly, because they've seen them against Manchester United. They exploited Manchester United playing it round at the back, but then they also exploited Manchester United when they were on the offence, and certainly I think it was the 4th goal, the counter-attack from a Manchester United corner was absolutely fantastic. So they've got a lot of pace on the break. So it's going to be interesting to see how we approach it, whether we're going to go with a 3 in midfield, if we've got 3 midfielders, or are we going to rely on the 2 and then 3 ahead of them? Because I certainly think I wouldn't expect Onana to start a game in a 2, and I don't think I don't think that makes sense. Certainly away from home at this stage. You know, only being in the Premier League a couple of weeks, but having that added player in midfield, where I think certainly Goodison last season when they had Eriksen, I think that was where the game was, you know, was won and lost. Eriksen had so much command, and I know we were down to 10 men, so it's slightly different. But Eriksen had so much command of the ball in that game that he just controlled the pace of the game for them, and I think we've got to dominate that midfield, and it's something we don't tend to do. If we're gonna create chances, we have to have the ball. I don't think you can just rely on playing on the counter attack or, God forbid, just playing it into Rondon if he starts. We have to get genuine controls of games of football, and I think that's what I've heard Frank Lampard bemoan that in a couple of, certainly after the game against Fleetwood, he was like, got to have more control of a game, and I think you only get that by having 3 in midfield.
The problem is who's going to go in there, because Tom Davis got injured. There's no Decore either.
Of course, we're talking before the press conference. Tom got injured in the warm-up, which might suggest that he might be available. I think if you get injured in a warm-up, it's a little bit different than getting injured in training.
I'm saying he might not be
available.
No,
I know. That's the problem, isn't it?
I don't know what... Alan wasn't used.
No.
Was he?
No.
And there's lots of stories he's going out. You know, unless it's Lewis Warrington, if he's going to give him his Premier League debut away at Brentford. It's a tough one. So right now, I'm looking and thinking, is it Iwobi and Onana in it too? I'd want 3 in there.
Yeah.
And again, like you just said, we're recording this middle of the week, so Everton might end up with another midfielder before Saturday who's eligible to play. You never know. But that's what I'd be looking at there, is that it's who's available to be able to go into that. But you're right, try and get a grip at that midfield, and then it'd have to be, I guess, Damari Gray off Solomon Rondon, really, unless, or if Anthony Gordon's here, they play without Rondon and go and try to get them turning. It's without the real options up front, it's a tough one, because
I do think if you've got that extra man in midfield, I don't like the idea of it, certainly, but if you did have Gordon and you've got Gray, at least then by getting a hold of the midfield, you can get higher up the pitch to try and get them through the channels. I think when you've only got 2, you're more hitting, hoping, than you isolate the man up front. And obviously, if that was Gordon in the first 2 games, you isolate Gordon, it's just not going to work. At least if it's 2 and we're playing it through the channels for them to run on and have their pace, that's definitely... And it's not like, listen, I don't think Brentford are blessed with pace at the back. So then at least you've got a chance to get them. But I only think that works with 3 midfield, by actually getting hold of the game, getting some control and getting higher up the pitch. And I think, you know, that might be how we could do it. But then again, that, like you've just said, that relies on having that extra midfield. And at the moment, we haven't got that extra midfielder. So we're a little bit damned if we do, damned if we don't. It's really hard to put your finger on, you know, without the players coming in. We're so limited in our options at the moment.
Belly's gone as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, that's out the door as well. So, yeah, it's a strange time at the moment. We haven't finished doing what we want to do in the transfer market, and we've got a ton of injuries on top of it. So, it is a tricky one. They'll fancy it massively.
Let's just have a look at Brentford's side from last week's game in the Premier League against Fulham. There you go.
So the 4-3-3. And obviously, it's them, isn't it? The front 3 of Buemo, Tony and Wisher. You know, and full of energy.
Norgard is excellent player.
Josh De Silva's done well for them as well. Yeah. So they've got, you know,
I like the left back as well.
They're full of energy. Rico Hen, they're full of energy. They're full of movement. But like you just said, they have conceded goals. You know, in the 2 away games. At home, they haven't. They've kept 5.
I think
kept 5 clean sheets in the last 6 at home.
They are the kind of team that don't mind conceding goals if it means
they've got goals in them.
Because they've got goals in them. They are risk takers. You know, they've got a manager who understands that it's just as good to play, you know, 10 passes leading up to a goal than it is to just play a ball over the top. He doesn't have any issue with playing both ways.
And you shouldn't.
He's very frank on that. He's got a great outlook on the game itself. He's so positive. He doesn't really see any point in being, just limiting your side. He lets them go. He lets them go out and play to the strengths. So to me, it's a task with the players we've got. But then again, you know, it's still Brentford. It's still not. They're not the greatest team in the world. There's still an opportunity. You know, we've said in the first couple of certainly the first 3 Premier League games, if we had someone who could put the ball in the back of the net, things could look very, very different in terms of points. And if we could get the first, that'll be the other side of it. Obviously, in the Premier League, we've not took the lead this season. It'd be wonderful if we could take the lead in a Premier League game and see how that affects our tactics due to the opposition having to come and you know, have a go at us a little bit more. So it would be nice to see that, but obviously that relies on putting the ball in the back of the net,
which is not being good at.
Which is not something we are very strong at.
No.
So let's just have a look at Everton's team from Forest. So obviously we expect, I expect it to be the same back 5.
Yeah.
Awobi as well. Tom Davis, obviously, there's a big question mark on him. I imagine Gray will start.
Gray will start.
Gordon, if he's still an Everton player, probably will start. And then Rondon.
Because there's no one else.
What do you do? What do you do? Do you play him again?
It depends. I like we just said, I think I'd probably go for 3 in midfield and try to just get them turning a little bit and just see what happens with get Gray running in behind and Gordon if he's there. If Gordon's not, then obviously it's Rondon. You know, go for Gray buzzing around Rondon and see if it's that way.
Do you almost have to work? Could you work it if you had 3 in midfield so that you push on Onana up a little bit and you almost say, listen, if we're going to go long, you've got to be the outball in the centre of the park and have those 2 beyond them.
Too precise though.
No, I know, but
him in the middle.
You got someone like Jordan Pickford. I watched the goal last week. Come on.
No, I know.
No, but what I mean by that is, see in midfield, I look at their 3, and in terms of physically a battle, I think his size, that could mean one of their centre halves has to be dragged towards him, and if you drag a centre half towards him, then that leaves space behind them. You know, it's the old Fellaini trick. I know we mention his name a lot, but it is that thing of if you can pull a centre defender onto him because no one else can deal with him, then maybe that can open that free.
Maybe, but it depends whether he's got that in his locker. He's a big lad, but is he physically ready yet to battle the way Fellaini did? I don't know. Maybe the better option is Patterson over the top of Rico Henry, because Patterson is much bigger than him. Do you know what I mean? We've seen that ball where he's knocking things down or taking it on his chest and running them. It'll be who's fit though, won't it? Yeah. That's what it'll come down to. The manager's got at his disposal.
Yeah. It feels a long time till Saturday in terms of injuries and the transfer window, and it's a tough game. And straight off the back of it, we've got Leeds, and then we got Liverpool, and then we got Arsenal. Happy days. That's I'm not letting you do your stats.
I'm not doing that. Through the phone over there.
Binned. They're out of there. Right, tough game. Everton need to get something though. They need to get something. You know what? I just can't wait to start some more games of football with what we may or may not do in the transfer window.
Yeah.
I can't wait to start doing that. It's just this window being obviously having so many games up to the window just feels ridiculous to me. Feels like you're either doing something or you're not doing something. It's just stupid. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this one. Are you confident or not? What would you do with the team? Let us know. Don't forget, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want more exclusive videos, daily live videos, join us over on Toffee TV Premier. The link is in the description and it'll be on the screen in a moment. See you later.